How's it going, everybody? So, a few weeks ago, I hinted that I was going to make a video about whether or not Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is even going to get DLC. And what type of DLC it might be. Well, my opinion is I'm kind of iffy. I'm kind of like 55-45, no to yes. And I say that because I do believe that the producers, the developers, Nomura, Kitase, Hamaguchi, their words carry a lot of weight. But even if they did, I feel, well, two things. Number one, even if they do carry a lot of weight, they don't have the final say on everything. I believe that the CEO, the shareholders, the people who want to make money are probably going to have the last say. And if they think they can make money off of DLC, they're probably going to pressure them to create DLC. That's just how it goes. And number two is, whether it's 3 years, 4 years, however, there's a lot of time between now and when the third game comes out. We'll probably become impatient. They're going to need something to probably tide us over. And I do know that they're always continuing to update after Crisis. I'm sure there are going to be some other things I can't think of later on down the line. Maybe a standalone Queen's Blood game. That might be a thing. Don't know. But either way, there's got to be something between now and then that, that can kind of satisfy us until, the game comes out. So that's the other thing. So that's why I can't necessarily just, kind of just say that DLC can't happen or won't happen or anything like that, because there could be a chance that there is. And I know that the Ultimania came out the other day, and I know that there was an interview with Kitase, and he said that it only took them really 3 years to create Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and one of those extra years was actually used to create the DLC for Remake, the intermission DLC with Yuffie. And that we probably could have gotten it even sooner if we didn't have that, I guess. Although, who knows? So, yeah, it might take up to a year to create said DLC, which means they might press it further. And even though there's been no real claims to verify this, I'm sure a lot of people are thinking they're going to try to get the third game out before the 30th anniversary of Final Fantasy VII. Who knows? But even then, it's like, you have to realize that they worked on Rebirth during COVID. They worked on intermission during COVID. So there was a lot of logistics that had to be altered simply because of that. Being back in the offices probably is going to help. It's probably a lot easier to communicate with people in person than it is, through text or through, voice chat or video or email or anything like that. So, I don't think... I mean, there could be a chance that they could do DLC and still, get it out by the time of the 30th anniversary. I don't know why they couldn't get the third game out by the 30th anniversary. So, that's why I'm kind of, really, kind of half and half almost. Yay or nay. So, but if they did do DLC, and this is why I'm making the video anyway, if they're doing the DLC, what type of DLC are they going to do? Now, I kind of, like I said, hinted a few weeks ago that my opinion is going to be way out in left field. And I'll give that to you guys in a minute. But before then, I kind of want to talk about what I don't necessarily think will be DLC. And if you can bear with me, the first thing is, can there be DLC with Vincent? I just don't see it. I mean, well, before I even get started with that, I'm going to give you, I feel like there needs to be at least two things if there's going to be DLC. Number one, it can't distract or deflect their attention away from the third game, as in fact it needs to be able to enhance the development of the third game. So doing things like creating, a new region, or expanding on a region, or creating move lists for new characters, that's important. NPCs, enemies, things of that nature, that sort of thing is pretty paramount if you're going to create a DLC, in my opinion. And they kind of did that pretty good with Yuffie's DLC. I mean, I know the regions probably wasn't one of those things, but maybe they'll go back to some of those places at some point. But yeah, those, I think, that's important. And I guess the other thing too is I feel like if you're going to do a DLC, it has to be during the events of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I mean, if it's going to come after the, Forgotten Capital, then just put it in the third game. Why even bother? So, anyway, saying that, going back to Vincent and the DLC, I've heard a lot of people want a DLC where they can explore Vincent's backstory, his origin, how he came to be who he is now, all that stuff. I don't think it'd be a good one. Number one, I think the region, and that's why I kind of point out here, the region doesn't, it isn't anything new kind of deal. I mean, there might be some spots you might be able to explore outside of Nibelheim, where most of his backstory takes place. So there might be something. I won't, deny that. But even then, the other thing is his move list would be incomplete, because again, the big thing about Vincent is he turns into all these monsters and he can attack people, as those monsters. So that would be cut short, basically. So he'd be a half-finished product, and probably not the fun half, too. So maybe that's just me. I just don't see the point in that. So if you're going to ask me whether or not Vincent would have DLC, particularly that, I don't think so. Plus, let's be honest, it would probably be better for him to discuss his, his origins, his backstory, his motivations for joining the party and fighting Sephiroth amongst the party. He needs to be telling this to them. And there ain't too many times where he can do that. I think Lucretia's cave is going to be a lot more involved than it was in, the original Final Fantasy VII. So I think it's right here, I believe now. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of an important plot point. I don't think it's something that you can just kind of, put in a DLC, in my opinion. So that's my first opinion. And then you have Cid. I'm a little bit more optimistic about the idea of doing Cid, because number one, you might be able to, explore a brand new region right here. I'm going to guess this is where Rocket Town's probably going to be. Somewhere relatively close, at least. Makes sense. So you got a new region that you could possibly explore. Got new NPCs and everything, Shara and stuff like that. And obviously Cid and his move list would be kind of interesting too. play with, just to see where they're going with it. The biggest issue I have with Rocket Town is, not even Rocket Town, like Sid itself, is what exactly can you make a DLC of? He still has some involvement with Shinra from time to time. I don't think he has this, unshakable hatred of Shinra like a lot of the people in a lot of our characters have, like Barrett, Kiefer, or whatever. So, I don't know. And it's not like they really need the tiny Bronco for anything, let's be completely honest. That was kind of a weird reasoning in the OG, I guess, because, like, you have helicopters. You seem like you're able to make your way over there just fine. Whatever. You need an excuse to have them at your party. Cool. So, I don't know. I don't know, but I didn't know what they could have done with Yuffie and Midgar, and how she came to be over there and everything else. I admit that was kind of interesting too. I would have never expected, but hey, here we are. So, yeah, that could happen, but at the same time, I don't know. We'll see. It's hard to tell. But anyway, so you got, if you're not going to have DLC for VII, you're not going to have DLC with Sid. Now, what are you going to have DLC of? And this is where my idea of left field comes into play. And keep this in mind, this is not something that I necessarily think is going to happen, like with 100% certainty, and it's not something that I necessarily, am like dying to see kind of deal. It's something that it would be interesting. I would probably even enjoy it, but it's like, this is not something about me being like, I'm not like overly passionate about it, but it's just a thought. So, indulge me a little bit. So, I began to think, and where the DLC could possibly be at, and who the DLC could be about. And the first thought I had was kind of based. Let me see what we got here. Kind of based on this right here. Let me put this up on the screen here. Everybody knows what this is. People were clamoring about this well before Rebirth ever came out. People loved, how they did the Hell House and everything like that from the OG, from Remake. And they thought, what other crazy looking monster might come around for the second game, and this was on everyone's mind. And Square Enix didn't really deliver on that one. And it's kind of a shame too, but at the same time, kind of think, what if it wasn't that they didn't deliver on it? What if they just wanted to put it on the back burner, save it for something? Now, okay, I get it. The name of the monster is called Heavy Tank. In Japanese, I think it's something similar. I don't know. And I know they used it for a different monster, much to everyone's disappointment, but everybody just calls it Tank Ceratops anyway, so I don't think it really matters. The name doesn't really matter. They can change the name anytime. So, we've changed the name of it. Of course, so why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't it be something that they could put on the back burner, save for a rainy day kind of deal? So that's one thing I began to think about, and then I began to look, and I looked at the Gongaga region here, and I realized something. There is a lot of gray here. Take a look. Look at all this unexplored land that we never really get to explore. Can't get to it at all, to be honest. That's a lot of land. A lot of land, a lot of potential. There are things that could be explored here. I would almost recommend exploring it. So there is a part of a region that you could actually build out. That'd be interesting to actually explore a little bit of. So we got a potential boss or monster or whatever you want to call it, boss character, and then you have a region here. So who could possibly be DLC? And as much as it's hard for me to truly accept, I mean, it could be Cisne. Just like I said, hear me out. She has the ability to do things during the events of Rebirth. She's not with the party, she's in her own world. There are a lot of things about her backstory that is very intriguing. Did she find Zack? Did she find Zack dead? I mean, what happened between then and her staying in Gongaga? Did she have a fallout with the Turks? She obviously still works for the Turks and Shinra in some capacity. Seems like she has to, but and plus she seems to also kind of appreciate this place. So I know one of the last quests that you have with her is investigating some of the monsters around the reactor. Seem to be getting more aggressive as of late. So it would be kind of interesting to kind of follow up on that. And plus, again, there might be some other elements that could occur. Maybe Shinra comes back to kind of investigate the events that occurred in the main story. Maybe even add, a special group of soldiers from underneath the Shinra Tower. Maybe Deep Ground will show up. Maybe even more. Maybe even Genesis. God forbid. Who knows? But there's a lot of possibilities here, and it would be kind of interesting. Some extra compilation lore, I guess. And hell, Kate Sif can join her. Remember, he had a falling out, so it could happen between chapters 12 and 13 for all I care. They could get together, they can talk and lament about how they want to help Cloud and party, but at the same time kind of relegated and forced to remain, as a member of Shinra, really. I mean, otherwise they could possibly, die, get hurt, whatever, They could always discuss more about that as well. And think of all the other things that you could do too. You know? Can have our own little bits and pieces. Combat simulator. It doesn't even have to be Chadley. You can use like one of the Turks, simulations to maybe fight or whatever. Maybe you can get yourself a new summon. I know we don't have too many. We don't have too many summons left. Like I think we have 4 from the OG, but you can always add some. We added Gilgamesh this game. Carbuncle was also there at some point. They could probably do the same thing with, maybe add Fenrir or Diablos or Baleful. I mean, there's plenty of summons to choose from, plenty of games. And you can always expand Queen's Blood a little bit. I haven't seen a Zac card. I'm surprised he doesn't have one. So maybe they could do that. I'm just saying. So, again, these are some of my opinions. They're somewhat fleshed out, but, like everything. It's just a thought. I'm not holding out the heart of hearts that it's going to be this or that or anything else. Like I said, whatever DLC, if they even make DLC that they come up with, I will be fine. Love this game regardless. But it's definitely an idea. Also, I'd probably be a little bit more confident of the idea if they actually make Cisne a playable character on Ever Crisis, which I do think they should. I also think they should have Soldier Cloud in that too, because I feel like just having Zac for Crisis Core, I know it was like that originally, but it's kind of, you got 9 members of the OG, you've got the 3 for, First Soldier or whatever. 4 actually, sorry. It would just be cool to have a couple extra characters here or there. And yeah, that would make me more confident in the idea that she could possibly be a DLC candidate. But again, I don't know. But again, this is really just a thought experiment. It's just me, just shooting my shot, see where it goes kind of deal. Feel free to comment. Feel free to, give your own opinions on the matter. If you like it, you like it. You don't, But, yeah, that's my own opinions on the matter, and, yeah. That's all I can say for now. Hopefully I'll do some more recordings, some more videos in the future. And until then, thanks a lot. I'll see you later.